The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Yes, sir, the gang is all here. Still seem to have a little bit of a problem with that particular microphone.
Thought it was corrected.
Yeah, well, we'll deal with that during the first break here. I am Steve West, that's Matt Nicholson, producer John Myers along with you. We do have Formula One reveals from several teams. We're going to be finally done with that here as we head on into the 2023 season. We got pictures of them too. We know who NBC is going to be sending to cover the Indy 500. An IndyCar driver is about to hang up the helmet. What's pacing NASCAR season opening weekend in Daytona? We know that. We're going to tell you all about that. We also know what the Garage 56 entry officially looks like when it hits the track out in Le Mans soon. You can find that out too. Contract extensions big in the Cup Series this week, not to mention a nice surprise coming this year to the NHRA. All that and more coming up on this week's edition of the Championship Racing Network Green Flag right after this.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
Athena's of Aniston and Jack.
To more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Yeah, quick pit stop for a change of microphones here, and we're good to go. Thank you, producer John, who, by the way, gave up his microphone before he had the opportunity to say happy birthday to his mom. So, hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Who's Mom 1.5 to me, I have to admit. So, hopefully she's listening in Virginia, and we appreciate it. And wherever you happen to be listening, we appreciate you checking us out, whether it's on the radio or checking us out via CRN Live on YouTube. If you haven't checked that out, just go to YouTube, type in CRN Live. You can go there. You can subscribe. It's free. You get notifications every time we go on the air. Tell your friends about it if you already have. Or, heck, subscribe and then tell your friends. It's all good. As you know by now, if you're a fan of racing, qualifying for the Daytona 500 happening this weekend. Oh, in case you forgot, Daytona 500 this weekend. It's a two-stage affair. First stage sets the front row. Now, for the past 8 years straight, at least one of the two front row slots has been taken by a Chevrolet. Alex Bowman's taken the last 5 in a row. I'm sorry, make that 6. He claimed the pole again. He was joined by his teammate at Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle Larson, for an all Hendrick, all Chevrolet all Hendrick Motorsports, all Chevrolet front row.
Again.
Yep. The thing about it is, row 2 is an all Ford affair.
Yeah.
Something else happened on Thursday that ended up being 2 of the 6 drivers. I guess this was really Wednesday. 2 of the 6 drivers who had to make it in speed locked into the field. To no one's surprise, really. I have to admit, I expected this. One of them was 7-time Cup Series champion Jimmy Johnson. He just knows how to get around there, and let's face it, it's not like they're building junk over there at what is now Legacy MC, used to be Petty GMS Racing. Mm-hmm. The other car might have been a little bit of a surprise getting in on time. It is a third 2311 racer, but Travis Pastrana is not exactly a guy who's got a whole lot of Cup experience under his belt, let's face it.
He doesn't have a lot of super speedway experience,
so
much less anything else.
Him making it in on speed was actually a nice run for him.
Yep.
That brings us Thursday and the duels, which would set the rest of the lineup, which you can find pretty much anywhere. All we're going to do is tell you this. Joey Logano won the first duel. Eric Almirola won the second one. That sets up that all second row Ford lineup that we were talking about. More importantly, it really comes down to who did not make the Daytona 500. The answers to that, Chandler Smith and Austin Hill, they were caught up in things really that weren't necessarily their fault. Connor Daly of the Money Team makes it in. You want to talk about pure luck, because that car...
Thanks, Connor.
Yeah, really. That car could not really qualify. They had problems keeping the car started on Wednesday night.
No, they had an electrical problem that caused a line going to the oil pump to short out.
Okay.
And catch on fire.
There you go.
They didn't have the part, so they had to get somebody from North Carolina to drive the part all the way to Daytona to get it done. And then it baffles me that a car that has a Yuri crew chiefing it would look like a KTM motorcycle driving around Daytona, because it's bouncing because the front end is so stiff.
That thing was a bucking Bronco when he took that thing off of pit road to go out there for their duel. I mean, it bounced worse than the porpoising that Formula One was complaining about last year.
But they backed the car off of the bump stops enough to get it to where it's drivable, but yet they backed it off so far that it's dragging and hitting the track. Oops.
Overcompensation, but by basically being out on the track all by himself, he stayed out of any problems that were caused, and then he lucked right into it. So Connor Daly and the Money Team got to get that car fixed and ready for tomorrow's Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to last night, where we're going to turn it over to Matt, who has the results of a strange Craftsman Truck Series season opener, the NextEra Energy 250.
Arguably, get myself together for this one.
Remember,
arguably,
PG.
Yes.
The most
It's a family show.
Underwhelming super speedway truck race I have seen since probably 2007. Very underwhelming. In the terms of using football terms, if you looking at the turnover ratio plus to minus.
But in this case, using green flag to yellow flag?
Yes. Green flag laps to yellow flag laps was -3.
That's not good.
-3.
That's not good.
38 green flag laps were completed. 41 were under caution. They only completed 79 laps because Mother Nature was just doing one of those just enough little spritz showers, just enough to tick you off.
Yeah. And as I kind of basically thought last night when you started telling me this, because John and I were out, we were running errands. We didn't get to see the beginning of the race, and Matt's keeping me updated by a text.
You didn't miss much.
And he goes, yeah, rain's in the area. And I immediately thought, well, that's about par for the course for Daytona. It doesn't matter what time of the year. Rain's in the area if you're racing at Daytona.
But it was just
weird.
It never got hard. It was just enough to tick you off. They would go green. Trucks hadn't even got to fourth gear in turn 2. Caution right back out. We got rain in 3 and 4. You just come out of 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Why did we throw the green? But
who knows?
Going back to back in the NextEra Energy 250, Zane Smith was your winner last night.
And I will say, from what I was able to see of the race, he did have a good truck.
He did. Tanner Gray was a second, Christian Eckes third, Colby Howard fourth, Grant Enfinger fifth, Ty Majeski sixth, Tyler Ankrum seventh, Corey Heim was eighth, Matt Crafton ninth, and Chase Elliott filling in for Jake Garcia in the McAnally Hilgeman truck. Number 35 was 10th.
That's going to be for the first 3 races of the season.
No, just for this one.
Oh, okay.
Garcia gets it back at Vegas.
Okay. I thought it was 3.
Scattered out through the field, Mr. Pinball Ben Rhodes ended up 11th with looked like a hybrid modified, if you ask me. Carson Hocevar was 12th. Travis Pastrana ran last night. He was 13th. He had a very respectable run.
Yeah, and, we say that you can't necessarily take a whole lot from one series to the next, the Truck Series to the Cup Series, but at the same time, he got practice running in a pack at Daytona.
Yeah, I mean,
and you can't say enough for that for somebody who's got that little experience as Travis has.
Right. Chase Purdy in his KBM debut was 17th. He had a bullet for a truck.
Yeah,
super fast. Matt DiBenedetto was 20th. You had pole sitter Nick Sanchez in his very first truck race was 26th. Jack Wood in the other KBM truck was last truck in the lead lap 27th. He just got pinned because of pit stop cycles while the rain was falling. Stuart Friesen 28th. You had Brett Holmes in 31st. He was caught up in an accident, not of his doing, which that's typical Daytona.
Sure.
Same thing for Haley Deegan. She was caught up in an accident and not of her doing. They had nowhere to go. She was 35th.
Okay. Today, amongst all the things that are happening on the track down at Daytona, Xfinity Series set to begin their 2023 season with the Beef It's What's for Dinner 300 at Daytona. MRN Radio, Fox Sports have the coverage 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. Does seem a little bit late in the afternoon for them to get that underway, but hey, It's their call. Tomorrow, Cup Series begins running for points officially. The Daytona 500 airs on MRN Radio and Fox, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central Time, according to all the information that I can find. Anyway, we got a late start, so what we're going to do is we're going to take what would, under normal circumstances, be an early break, but it'll get us right back on time to where we're looking to be. Now, I get it. The Daytona 500 is the biggest story of this racing weekend, so you might think we're leading off with NASCAR. Nope. Sorry, Racing Fuel Breath. We're actually going to start off breathing some nitromethane. I think arguably the biggest story of the week came out of the National Hot Rod Association, and we'll tell you what it is when we come back on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. 2 tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome into it. Steve West along with Matt Nicholson, producer John Myers.
We teased it last week for a new segment we're going to do at the end of the show where you post questions to us and we give our opinions on it, whether it's a question of did they get it right or did they get it wrong. However you want to word the question. I think we came down to a name for the segment. We haven't officially announced it yet. But if you do have questions for us, either email them to team@crnradio.us or put them in the YouTube chat where producer John can see it, and even we can see it, and then we will answer those questions at the end of the segment on the fly.
There you go. Yep. Totally unprepared. Put us on the spot as long as it's about racing.
Yeah.
Just saying. Hey, NHRA is going to lead off, and we talked about how Tony Stewart last year jumped in and actually got a little bit of fun running in a lower level, quote unquote, top fuel ride, technically top alcohol. And think about it. I mean, we've seen over his career him drive practically anything and everything. He's competed full-time as a USAC midget racer full-time. He was the first guy to win the USAC Triple Crown. Full-time Indycar racer, got Rookie of the Year back-to-back with a championship. Full-time NASCAR driver, even running 2 seasons straight, the entire, granted it's only 6 races, SRX schedule. But since retiring from the Cup Series, the 3-time Cup Series champion hasn't been full-time in any one series until now because Smoke has decided he liked his time behind the controls of that top alcohol dragster and decided he will run them full-time this year. Last year, he jumped into a McPhillips racing ride, took it all the way to the finals at the Nevada Nationals, lost the win by a scant 2/10 thousandths of a second. So liking what he experienced, he's teamed with longtime sponsor Mobil 1. He will get back into a McPhillips racing ride and run it full-time this season. The car will wear number 314. It's a picture you can see right now on our YouTube show, CRN Live. Once again, you're going to hear it a lot because we're, pushing that. Smoke said of this opportunity, quote, "We've been working to put this package together with the McPhillips family to expand on what we did at Las Vegas last year, get back in the seat. I want to keep learning about this sport." I want to keep learning about the sport. He made the finals. And have the opportunity to go compete more this year with a team I really enjoy. It's nerve-wracking to try and do something different, but when you have a team like what the McPhillips racing team is, it makes things a lot easier. It also puts him in line to compete for that division title. Now, unlike the 4 divisions of the Camping World Drag Racing Series, for this division, you earn points in your first 10 national events, and then what the NHRA does is take the best 6 results to disperse the points out to drivers to determine the standings. Okay, then. We'll keep tabs on the division's efforts this year as they will begin at the Gator Nationals as well. Our thanks to NHRA.com for that picture that you see on CRN Live on YouTube. Then you've got another picture coming up here in just a moment. The Vance & Hines Pro Stock Motorcycle team has arrived in Florida, ready to begin the 2023 season. They arrived early because initially they were kind of caught holding their breath because what they did was they brought a new fleet of Suzuki Hayabusa bikes to their 2023 riders. Newcomer Gage Herrera, 4-time division champion Eddie Krawick. They featured new bodywork. It needed to pass NHRA approval. They can breathe. It did. You can see it right now on, again, CRN Live on YouTube. Thanks to NHRA.com for this picture. They took them out for runs in the Gainesville track, see how they ran. Came away pretty pleased. Andrew Hines saying, quote, "This was a great week for our team, working with Gage and Eddie, seeing how well our bikes performed and receiving approval from the NHRA. Everything's coming together for this season." Then you had Kerry Graber, who's the Suzuki Motor USA Senior Vice President, saying one of our objectives with our return to NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle Drag Racing was to develop an all-new body, modeled after the Gen 3 Hayabusa. Vance & Hines has done a terrific job with this new body. We're pleased that it performed so well in its first test. Our vision for all competitors racing Suzuki motorcycles in the NHRA series is to transition to the new body. So I guess you got to figure out what is it exactly that's new. Well, they state that the bodywork this year is actually symmetrical, so the airflow on each side of the bike is similar or aerodynamically balanced as opposed to previous times when things might have been a little bit more aerodynamic one side or the other. All of this allows the rider to be able to guide the motorcycle with a little less physical input, they state. Rider cockpits designed to accommodate a wider variety of riders, so both smaller and larger stature riders can fit on the bike, they say. So again, thanks to NHRA.com for that look. We haven't paid a whole lot of attention to the actual details like that, but yeah, I mean, this is what it takes to get into the point where you are, oh, well, let's go back to the top alcohol result that we just talked about for Smoke last year, where he misses it by 0.02 of a second. I mean, that's the kind of detail that they're looking at when it comes to getting the aerodynamics and the ergonomics rolling on. Speaking of ergonomics, the interaction of rider and controls, they say, is improved as well. Should allow the riders to more easily and comfortable be a rider. The team and Suzuki officials credited the NHRA with working closely with them as the development process began all the way through to its approval. The design is actually now available to any team that would like to use Suzuki's and Pro Stock motorcycle. Reports are that Corey Reed and Joey Gladstone have already ordered their new ones for this coming season as well. I would imagine they're not going to be the only ones. Suzuki was at one point in time a big powerhouse in the Pro Stock motorcycle area. Why they decided to back out, I really honestly don't know.
I don't know. I mean, but looks like they're going to come back in full force now.
Yeah, with
what it looks like.
Something to prove, it appears.
Yep.
Some funny car news. We got that as well. Bob Tasca III looking to improve his fortunes. He's announced he's going to have co-crew chiefs this coming season. He's brought in veteran tuners Todd Okahara and Aaron Brooks. Okahara moves over from Don Schumacher Racing, where he was from 2005 to 2022. Brooks, meanwhile, has tuned both Top Fuel and Funny Car rides going back to 2009. Last year, he was doing it for Doug Foley, but he's also worked with Don Prudhomme and Don Schumacher Racing in his time at the top levels of the NHRA. So Bob Tasca III, assuming that Okahara and Brooks can get along, because sometimes that is a question, I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem, truth be told. These guys are veterans. They've been around for a long time. They know exactly what they're looking for and what they're doing. And Bob Tasca is going to say, hey, listen, guys, this is what I need.
Right.
You know, who's got the strength in this particular area, who's got the strength in that particular area. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And, you know, let's see if we can't get along with the idea of becoming a top flight team in this division.
Yeah, keep it at one crew chief, not two, one.
Yeah.
Be done with it.
But we'll see whether these guys can get along, and if they can, Bob Tasca III might be somebody to watch out for this year. And Skag Power Equipment continuing to expand out their partnerships in the NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series. They're already partnering with JCM Racing. That's the former Don Schumacher Racing. Trying to keep that updated. They're going to show up in the top fueler for Tony Schumacher and the Funny Car entry for Tim Wilkerson. They've also now been named the official outdoor power equipment provider for the NHRA. It's a multi-year deal that actually begins this season. So, hey, congratulations to Skag Power Equipment. You're going to see their logo and colors all over the place this coming season. And that'll bring us to the Cup Series, where this weekend's, as they call it, Super Bowl of Stock Car Racing is a sellout once again. Marks the 8th straight year that the grandstands, infield camping spots, fan zone have all run out of tickets ahead of race day, not to mention all the hospitality suites. Tickets were available for the Truck Series last night and today's Xfinity Series race. So if you are of a mind, first of all, if you're not already in Florida, haul butt. Otherwise, you might miss it. The track announced the 2024 Daytona 500, by the way, will happen exactly 1 year from today. It will be on February 18th next year. Was the last time the race happened on February 18th the day that Dale Earnhardt passed away?
Don't think so.
Might have been one other since then.
There's been one other since then.
Yeah. In case you forgot, by the way, today is that day. It happened on February 18th of 2001 that Dale Earnhardt lost his life, unfortunately. So we do want to remember that. You know, it's one of those things where we still miss the guy. You know, I mean, he was a force. There's no doubt about it. He was one of those guys that everybody listened to, everybody respected. I mean, think about it. When he won the Daytona 500 just 3 years earlier in his 20th try, not only did his team, the Richard Childress Racing Organization, basically come out on pit road, every single pit crew member from every single pit crew along pit lane. Back that time, 43 cars. They all came out to congratulate him. They all wanted to say congratulations to Dale Earnhardt. He was that guy, and we lost him. So, yeah, happened, 22 years ago today. Hard to believe. Meanwhile, The 2023 season underway officially this weekend. Two teams did some last-minute business. We begin at Hendrick Motorsports. Alex Bowman gets himself the pole position that we talked about just a couple of minutes ago. And on top of that, they've signed him to an extension, 3-year extension specifically. He's locked into the 48 through the 2026 year at least. Interestingly, the car's main sponsor, Ally Bank, already also signed to a contract extension as they signed Bowman. Bowman is for 3 years. Ally's for 5. Usually you get those numbers to be the same. If one's got a contract extension of a certain length, the sponsor or the driver, whoever it is, they end up being the same length. I'm not sure why one's 3 and the other's 5. They didn't state. It's going to be interesting to watch that process. By the way, that's going to mark 10 for Ally Bank by the end of that deal. The signing also takes Bowman off that potential free agent market and means that all Hendrick drivers are signed through 2024 at least. Some of them a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
His fellow Hendrick driver, Chase Elliott's got himself a new partner. This is not really much of a surprise. I'm actually probably more surprised to find out that he wasn't a member of it before now.
I'm more surprised that this brand is going on a Hendrick car, of all things.
That's true, considering they have been known to be partners with Pepsi. Chase Elliott has joined the Coca-Cola racing family. The brand's going to appear on the 9 car as an associate sponsor for the entire year, along with uniforms and equipment. And again, in this, he follows in his father's footsteps. His dad, Bill, was sponsored by Coca-Cola as well. I mean, it just makes sense. Coca-Cola's headquartered in Atlanta. Bill Elliott and Chase Elliott are Georgia products. It does only make sense. But yeah, when you think about it, how long ago was it that Jeff Gordon and Hendrick Motorsports got aligned with Pepsi, and then you bring in Dale Earnhardt Jr., who comes in and he's driving another major Pepsi brand for so many years in Mountain Dew and Diet Mountain Dew. This is a bit of a switch.
It is. I mean, because they left them in, I want to say Pepsi totally left in 2020. I'm not mistaken.
Coca-Cola saw an opening.
I was surprised Coca-Cola didn't jump quicker.
Yeah. Again, yeah. It's one of those things where it does seem to be the perfect marriage of a state of Georgia championship driver with a championship lineage in his dad, Bill, and you're headquartered in Georgia. I have to admit, yeah, I'm surprised it didn't happen before now.
Yeah, I am too, but I won't be totally shocked to see a Coca-Cola 9 car.
Oh,
at some
gosh,
point.
no.
At some point.
Heck no. In fact, I mean, let's go with the obvious one. Coca-Cola 600?
Or maybe even Atlanta.
Sure.
Oh, that would be a public relations dream right there.
Or if you really want to tweak Pepsi, go with Daytona, where they used to be the title sponsor of the Pepsi 400. Are they still? No, I didn't think so.
Coke Zero 400. The Pepsi 400 is now today's modern day Coke Zero Sugar 400.
There you go. So it could be the Coca-Cola 600, could be the Coke Zero 400, or could be Atlanta. Either one of those Atlantas. All of those are really, really good thoughts. Just saying. Yeah, it would not surprise me at all to see them show up as a primary at some point in time this season. Maybe more than one. I don't know. And then there's Trackhouse Racing. Trackhouse Racing was doing a lot of business this week. They announced an extension with Daniel Suarez, multi-year deal, after they had signed him to a 1-year extension just last August. So that covered through 2023. Now it will be for longer. This backs up, again, noting he believed he would be able to get a multi-year deal completed once the team had a better idea of how their future finances were going to look when it came to the new media deal. Here's the thing. There hasn't been any major news coming out when it comes to the new media package. All we know is that still the deal comes to an end. The current deal comes to an end after the 2024 season. Fox and NBC have both expressed interest in continuing on, but ABC, ESPN are still sitting out there because they have said, depending on how it looks, we might be interested in getting back into it as well. And CBS liked what they had in the SRX. Guess what's now over at ESPN? Guess who now hasn't got any set things in the racing world? CBS might want to go into it.
Yeah.
So you got ABC, ESPN out there. You got CBS out there. Fox and NBC are your, the guys that are already into it right now. So this is going to be very interesting. We haven't heard anything, literally nothing, coming out of the media rights situation at this moment. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that they've been told about because they wanted to see how it was going to look financially when they got the new deal. The new deal ain't here, but they went ahead and signed him. So they must feel pretty good about it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they must feel very good about it because the day after they announced the extension for Daniel Suarez, they announced another one for Ross Chastain. They only defined both of those deals as multi-year or long-term deals, but they say this sets up Chastain to be in their lineup for the foreseeable future. Just how long? Well, according to Trackhouse president Ty Norris, the contract for Chastain is lengthy enough that, according to Norris, Chastain's, quote, beard will be gray, unquote, before it expires. Chastain turned 30 back in December, so he's got a little bit to go. Then there's Xfinity. They're a primary partner of NASCAR, obviously. They're the title sponsor of the Xfinity Series. If you look down on the infield grass at whatever track you go to, you see the four main sponsors of the NASCAR and the Cup Series, and one of those is Xfinity. But they apparently decided they were looking for more. They partnered with 2311, not 23x1. Racing, covering both drivers, Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, stated they're going to be a primary sponsor of Reddick's number 45 at Atlanta coming up here in a few weeks as well. So, Xfinity getting even more involved and kind of like a lottery, non-existent in the state of Alabama. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Garage 56 entry. We showed a test mule of it a couple of weeks ago. 2023 season opening weekend being paced by one car maker. That's not necessarily unusual. We got the details of exactly what has been used as the pace vehicles. We'll tell you all about that. Plus, we've got more sponsorship news and a whole lot more still to come on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back into the show. Steve West along with Matt Nicholson, producer John Myers here. It's Daytona 2023 season opening weekend. And Daytona has come to terms with Chevrolet to be the pace vehicle of the weekend. Daytona 500 set to be paced by the brand new Corvette Z06, powered by the all-new 5.5-liter mid-engine LT6 V8, boasts 670 horsepower. Most horsepower in a production vehicle that is naturally aspirated, they say. Non-turbocharged, in other words.
Ooh.
Mighty powerful, ladies and gentlemen. This one also going to be equipped with the Z07 performance package, which adds carbon ceramic brakes, a carbon fiber rear wing, and ground effects as well. Had the chance a couple of years ago to go check out the double, not running the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 like you would normally say, but the IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader weekend up at Indianapolis. And on the way back, my wife and I, we stopped in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Went through the Corvette Museum, which highly recommended. And at the very end, you're put out, obviously, into a gift shop. And then right outside the gift shop is where, if you have the money, which I don't, unfortunately, but if you have the money to go buy a Corvette, you have the option of grabbing your Corvette at the dealer that you bought it from, or going to Bowling Green and picking it up. And they will take it from the line, move it over to the museum, and you pick it up actually in the museum. And you've got a Corvette tutor, I guess, that'll help run you through all the different options and all the different things that your particular Corvette has on it. And had the opportunity to see a couple of, I'm not going to necessarily call them base model Corvettes because I don't know exactly what all was in them and what options they might have had. You can only get so close to it if you're not the owner of it. But they had a really cool one called Mist Red, which is a color that John and I were kind of talking about on the way in, kind of that ruby deep garnet red that has started to show up across a whole lot of car manufacturers these days. Beautiful edition of the Corvette in that particular case. And it had some of the carbon fiber goodies that we were talking about there. I'll tell you, if I could afford it, wouldn't bother me. Wouldn't bother me at all. Somebody would like to give me a Corvette. My birthday's coming up in August. Gives you time to save up. Mist Red. Just saying. You can get me a Corvette in Mist Red. I'll be a happy guy. And then you got this. We've been talking about this for a while. NASCAR, Hendrick Motorsports working together on that Garage 56 entry that we showed you a test mule of recently. We now have its official look. They unveiled it just yesterday, Friday, at Daytona. And you can see how the car is actually going to look on the track via our CRN Live YouTube feed, courtesy of jayski.com. If you're not able to look at it, very bright blue around the nose and tail, got a silver hood and door panels, got some gold striping on. It's a pretty sharp-looking car overall. Got the names of the three drivers that are going to be involved in it, painted very, very prominently just above the door area. Plus, you got the NASCAR 75th anniversary logo prominently showing up on the hood there. So, and again, this is one of those things where not only did all the other Chevrolet teams complain, so did the Ford and the Toyota teams. So this is one of those deals where anything that NASCAR and Hendrick Motorsports kind of uncover about when it comes to this Garage 56 entry, it has to be shared across the board with everybody else.
But when you have a car that is 700 pounds lighter than an original stock car that you're seeing today on the track,
even including the working headlights.
I saw the specs of the car. This car is over 700 pounds lighter. I think it is absolutely irrelevant to have to share notes if they find anything. Because,
well, I guess my question might be this, and I get it. There's a reason why we have NASCAR stock cars set at the weight that they're at. Could this be a test mule for bringing lighter weight cars into NASCAR?
It's hard to say because they seem like they're so heavy set, no pun intended, on these high drag, slower cars.
And why, we don't know.
I'm not.
I mean, they would say safety. I mean, that's the obvious. That's the road answer. Oh, well, it's a safer car. Is
True.
it necessarily?
No. I mean, because you're using the same components of the car. Question is, are you using lighter materials? I don't know where you could cut 700 pounds off of one of these cars.
They were able to do it for this Garage 56 entry.
I want to see how they cut it off. I would love to see how they cut 700 pounds off the car.
Maybe we'll get details on that at some point in time in the near future because, there's got to be something that NASCAR, there's a reason why NASCAR said, hey, we need to get involved in this. There's a reason why we need to build this car. There's a reason why they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It can't be just, oh, hey, let's go show that we can build a Le Mans car, even though it's a Garage 56 entry. There's got to be more to it than, oh, we can, let's do it.
Got it right here. Your lengths of the car. Here's the base specs that are the biggest difference. The length of the car is 195.4 inches. An original next-gen car, 193.4. Height the same, wheelbase the same, width the same.
So basically the nose and the tail sections are just a hair longer.
Next-gen spoiler, 4 inches. Garage 56 spoiler, 6 inches.
So it's got a little more rear downforce.
Next-gen weight, 3,485. Okay, I was off. I think it's 700. It's actually about a little over 500.
Still, that's not insignificant.
Weight of the Garage 56 car, 2,960 pounds.
Where'd they come up with it?
There's a difference in the engine displacement. Next gen, basic 358 cubic inch. Garage 56, 358 cubic inch, 5.8 liter. That's
Okay.
on the spec sheet.
So,
Okay, now I really want to know how you got 500 pounds off this car. Fuel cell, next gen car, 20 gallons. Fuel cell for the Garage 56, 32.
So, my question is this. When you're weighing it, are they dry? In other words, with no fuel, or are they weighing it with a full tank?
That's my question.
And I mean, that's not going to make up the entirety of a 500-plus gap. But that would be one of the questions.
All right, I know, I'm pretty sure that it didn't come from the transaxle because the transaxle for the next gen 5-speed manual sequential with a ramp and plate differential. Garage 56 5-speed paddle shift sequential with ramp and plate differential.
It's not really going to make that much of a difference, is it?
No,
I wouldn't think. Although that may be the next move for NASCAR is to go to a paddle shift.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
I don't know.
I mean, they went from a traditional H pattern to a sequential.
I want to know where this 500-pound difference comes from.
I'd really like to know because again, I look at this thing, they spent a lot of money between Hendrick Motorsports and NASCAR. They invested a good amount of money to build the test mules and this car. There's got to be more to it than just, you know what, let's do it because we can.
I want to know because your body, your underwing, your chassis, rack and pinion steering, your suspension, wheels.
All of it seems the same, or at least similar.
All right, here's a difference in the wheels. The next gen car 18 by 12 forged aluminum. Garage 56, the wets are 18 by 12. The dry rears are 18 by 13 and a half. Dry fronts are 18 by 12 and a half.
It's actually bigger. Which to me I would think heavier.
Yeah.
What are they made out of?
Forged aluminum.
So the same thing as the Cup cars.
Yeah. Brakes, brake rotors, the engine, everything is still the same. Where did you cut 500 pounds off this car? Materials used? Use a lighter weight material?
Are you using composite materials for the Cup cars?
For the body, yeah.
Carbon fiber versus composite's not going to be that much different. I don't get it. I'm not sure where it is.
I don't know.
Things that we still need to find out.
Hard to say.
There's something about this that's going to end up coming to NASCAR. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm getting the funny feeling there's going to be some weight savings somewhere down the line, because if they can somehow shave $500,000 in weight off of the Garage 56 entry, that tells me that they could do that with a Cup car.
Can.
All right, we'll find out. Xfinity Series, as we noted, Chevrolet providing the pace cars for this weekend. Today's Xfinity Series race, not going to be that Corvette we just talked about. That's just for the Daytona 500. They're going to use a Camaro SS1LE. It also happened to pace yesterday's ARCA Menards 2023 season opener, the Brant 200. Got another picture for you. David Starr back in NASCAR. When was the last time we talked about David Starr actually driving in NASCAR?
He drove last year.
Not a whole lot. Part-time. I'm talking about full-time. When was the last time? And when was the last time we talked about it? Because we really didn't talk about him that much last year, even though he raced. I can't remember when he was full-time last time. Anyway, he's joining Our Motorsports for select races this coming year. He's going to drive their 02 Chevy Camaro. Sponsorship from the Fox News program Special Report with Brett Baer. It appears that Baer and Starr have been longtime friends. Who knew? Boulevard site. It's a site that also works to match employers with potential employees, along with training and for employees with current workers. You can see that car thanks to checkeredflag.com on our CRN Live YouTube show right now. It's a pretty good-looking car, just to say. Oh. And Craftsman Truck Series, if you watched the race last night, you got to see a lot of the pace truck. It was led to green, and for over half of the total number of laps run by the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 RST. Now, Craftsman is a brand. Is now no longer a division of Sears. Sears, remember them? They're now a division of Stanley Black & Decker. It's back as the title of the truck series. They were basically returning to the role that they held in the series from the beginning of the series in 1995 all the way through 2008. Well, in celebration throughout this year, if you watched the race last night, you might have seen the commercial. I did. For Craftsman Tools, which will offer a different deal of the race each and every Truck Series race this year, each and every weekend. For more information or to find out this that particular weekend's deal, you can go online. Go to craftsman.com/deal of the race, all one word, craftsman.com/deal of the race. Deals are only going to be available at the stores that they are sold at, Lowe's or Ace Hardware, in the U.S. only. And depending on what state you live in, the price might vary as well. For example, if you are listening to us in Alaska or Hawaii, it's probably going to cost you more because, well, shipping. Or if you live in California, because California jacks the price up on everything.
Or as Adam Alexander was saying last night, and now scan the QR code for the deal of the race.
Sure,
yeah.
I mean, I think it was battery-operated drills, 2 of them. One was an impact wrench, basically. Mm-hmm. You know, hey, if you needed one. Just saying.
Yeah.
Thor Sport Racing. They're going to run a 5th truck in some select races this coming season. They're going to put the number 66 on the side. Effectively, they're going to turn the 99 over and make it a 66. Mm-hmm. The driver they're going to put in it, Connor Jones. Who? Connor Jones. Connor Jones, a Virginia native, is going to get his first chance behind the wheel at Martinsville mid-April, then again at North Wilkesboro, Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, Richmond, Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Bristol. Noticing a trend here. These are all the shorter tracks. And again, in the 2023 season finale in Phoenix. There's a reason why he's going to be on all the shorter tracks and a road course. Connor Jones is the ripe old age of 16.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
In the truck series, yeah. Youngest driver running for Thor Sports since they actually started as an operation in 1996. Kid's got ARCA racing under his belt, super late models, pro late models, late model stocks, bandoleros, and legend cars all under his belt. And let's face it, if you're 16 years old and you're already getting a chance to run some select Camping World, Craftsman Truck Series, I'm still getting used to that. You got to be pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's really good behind the wheel, and he's getting better each race that he runs.
So here comes the question. because he's run some ARCA. He hasn't run full-time yet, I don't think.
E-Series, I think.
When do we start looking at him as going, maybe he's in over his head at the age of 16?
I'm not so sure that's going to happen.
Okay.
I think starting him out at these tracks right here, I think he's going to be okay.
I mean, ThorSport looked at him and said, you're just that good. We better sign you now or we're going to lose you to somebody else.
Yep.
Look into the future.
Yep.
Just saying. Wow. Hour 1 down already? Yeah. Go figure. We still got one more bit to talk about when it comes to NASCAR, and that guy right there is going to have a lot to say about what we say when we come back on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Four tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Cross flags in the air, which means we're halfway here on CRN today. One additional piece of Truck Series news that came out yesterday for the North Wilkesboro event that will be running on All-Star Weekend in May.
Which we might try and go to that.
That's Cup race may be a no-go, but truck race, that's wide open. That'll be just as good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They are bringing back another throwback element to North Wilkesboro. Remember the name Tyson Holly Farms, boys and girls?
I do.
We're going to have the Tyson 250 for the NASCAR Camp Craftsman Truck Series.
You and me both, man. You and me both.
Direct NASCAR Craftsman
Truck Series. We're working on the Craftsman. We are. We're working on it.
In May, when the series makes its return back.
All kinds of things throwing back to our history, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we looked forward to the future as well, in some ways. And in some ways, we're looking at the future and going, what?
Let me clear my throat for this one.
Yeah. See, later this year, as we and many other in motorsports media have talked about, obviously, NASCAR set to go street course racing for the first time in Chicago. So why not, before we see the success of the first street course race actually come off as anything that resembles a success, why don't we go ahead and talk about a second street course race on the schedule? Huh? Aren't we putting the cart before the horse here? I mean, if the Chicago street course race, and I'm not saying that it will be, but if it turns out that the Chicago street course race is an absolute flop, a disaster,
Nightmare.
do we really want to continue talking about another one potentially? But NASCAR is going to do it anyway. They're going to talk to New York City. New York City? Yep, that's right. New York City. Well, you don't have a microphone. Steve O'Donnell, COO, Chief Operating Officer of NASCAR, said that they have already talked with several groups. How many groups could possibly be involved in putting in a race in New York City?
30.
Maybe.
Million.
They said that they have visited several possible sites as well. They didn't disclose either the groups or the locations. This will be the second time, by the way, that NASCAR has talked about putting a race in the New York City area. You might remember back when International Speedway Corporation, hey, remember them?
A corporation that I dearly miss.
I got to admit, I do too.
Yeah.
ISC bought land on Staten Island, had proposed building a racetrack there that they could run the Cup Series on, and Xfinity, and maybe even the Truck Series. But they couldn't gain the political support for it, so they ended up selling the land off. O'Donnell apparently believes that street course races are something of the future of NASCAR. He's not only looking at New York City and Chicago. He said he likes the idea of maybe going out west, say Denver or Seattle for new races, maybe even taking it international, with O'Donnell saying that Canada and Mexico have talked about bringing the Cup Series in for a race or two a year. But the thing about it is, it doesn't necessarily stop at Canada and Mexico, does it?
No. You missed one key. You got one key element right there, West. They're talking about an international Middle Eastern series.
The Cup Series
Middle Eastern.
in the Middle East.
Okay.
I mean, I get it if you want to like expand. We've got NASCAR Mexico. We got the Pinty Series in Canada. We've got NASCAR, the Wayland Euro Series. I get that. You want to start a series in the Middle East? Go do that. No, we're talking about taking the Cup Series guys and shipping them to the Middle East.
All right. First point of business.
Ooh.
Denver, you've got a perfectly good racetrack sitting in Denver, better known as Pikes Peak International Raceway.
Yeah. And I'll say this. I've been to Seattle. It's been a few years, but the topography of Seattle hasn't changed a whole lot.
I've flown through Seattle.
And I'm here to tell you, Seattle's basically, well, it's all hills.
What are we going to do? Are we going to shut down Boeing Field and run a race at Boeing Field and make a street course there? In Everett? No. Seattle? What are you thinking? Okay. There are some viable, I can't believe I'm saying this. There are some viable
It does
locations.
seem they're sold in on this, though. I will say that.
There are some very viable locations in Canada.
Sure.
Oval and road course.
Oh, yeah.
Hence, I said road course. I did not say street course.
True.
Road course.
Yep.
You got Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Perfect, if you ask me.
Montreal.
Perfect.
It's where the Canadian Grand Prix is held in Formula One.
Because I cannot recall a bad race that happened when the then Nationwide Series ran there.
That's true.
I can't recall a bad one.
Yep. There's Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park
You got
now,
Canadian Tire.
which the Truck Series, Craftsman, Truck Series has run in the past.
I can't recall a bad race there.
I've actually found a couple of fairly entertaining races that happened there.
And
I
then
mean, to the point where the drivers got pretty hot under the collar over the results.
And then
you don't get hot under the collar for a race that's just kind of meh.
And then you've got a pretty good sized short track just outside of Vancouver called Jukasa Motor Speedway that is pretty popular.
Yeah,
There's 3 viable locations right there in Canada.
at least.
Mexico, there's only one, Mexico City.
Autodromo
Autodromos
Hermanos Rodriguez. Well, we could go to where Formula E ran. That, I forget the name of the town, 60 miles to the, southeast of Mexico?
Yeah.
I forget what that course
I
is
can't
named.
remember.
But, and I'll say this, What I do remember of the course, not the name, but what I remember of the course is the fact that it had several different iterations. Kind of like, oh gosh, let me think. I was going to say kind of like Daytona, but that's not really true because it's actually got more iterations than Daytona does. You have an oval track, but you've got 2 or 3 potential road course iterations that use parts of the oval track and then taking infield road courses, which is what Formula E did. They took a little bit of the oval, a little bit of the infield road course, and they made themselves quite the nice little track, truth be told. So you've got at least 2 tracks that I can think of. There may be more in and around Mexico, but those 2 certainly stick out. Why are you worried about running a street course race? You got a perfect course there.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to go to South America? Brazil's got 2 or 3 alone.
Yeah. Yeah, NASCAR Brazil. Let's see. Let's go to
Then there's
Interlagos, Argentina, Sao Paulo. I would rather you see go there instead of trying to
carve out a street course out of nothing.
In Queens. What are you going to do? Run the Formula E course in Queens?
You're certainly not going to do it in Manhattan.
But let's take it to the Middle East for a minute here, gentlemen.
That's a long way to go.
What
boys.
are you thinking?
Oh, that's a long way to go.
What is the number one thing that they have preached and talked about and harped on for the last, 5 years?
Money. Cutting costs.
Cutting costs. Last I checked,
Loading
it's not cheap to load up a cargo ship or load up Connex storage boxes on 747 cargo jets and fly them from Charlotte over to either, let's say, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Qatar, places like that. It's not cheap.
No.
So
ask Formula One about that.
Yeah, call Christian Horner. He can tell you just how much it is.
Sure.
Okay, let's see here. Morocco. No, that's old school. All right. Let's see here. You got Bahrain. These are the only viable circuits you can run for an international circuit, which may last 4 races.
Maybe.
Bahrain.
I mean, you might as well make it worth it to be over there, you know?
You could run 2 races at Bahrain counterclockwise or anti-counterclockwise.
That's true.
Anti-clockwise.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Abu Dhabi.
Could you count Azerbaijan in there? It's close.
It's close. Yeah. I mean, you could technically haul over there, I guess.
Okay.
You'd have to get permissions from some countries to do it.
Tell me about it. Monaco, Catalonia, Canada, Circuit of the Americas. Let's see.
You're going to have to go all the way to the end of the year.
Jeddah Corniche. I don't think any Cup teams want to go to Saudi Arabia.
No.
If you ask me, I don't think they want to go to Saudi Arabia.
Considering that the Saudis don't necessarily have the best reputation on the planet.
No, not really.
Syria's worse, I will say that.
Yeah. You got LaSalle International Circuit in Qatar, which is motorcycle track. I don't know if a Cup car would look too good on a motorcycle track.
Not sure that it's really prepared for that
let's see here. Let's keep going. You got Dubai, which is Yas Marina
Yeah.
circuit. See here. Yeah, I don't think you would want to send half of your send all of your NASCAR force over to the Middle East to go run 1, 2, 3,
maybe 4.
4, 5 at best.
It's a lot of money.
That is the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
I mean, I get it. They're trying to expand out to new markets. I get that. But in this case, to me, you're biting off way more than you can chew.
NASCAR trying to Formula One? What?
Yeah, stop.
They're trying in some aspects.
Stop it.
And in some aspects, they're failing miserably.
Exactly. There's a reason why NASCAR became very, very popular here in the United States of America. Okay? And it became popular in spite of the fact that it was, according to people right around 1979, it's just a bunch of good old boy rednecks running in the Southeast. Well, that all changed. 1979 Daytona 500. Anybody remember that? CBS, first live flag-to-flag coverage, and boom, baby. Suddenly we all liked it. And then cable came in and ESPN was like, hey, we need programming. Let's go get NASCAR. Okay, let's do it. And NASCAR exploded in popularity, going all the way up into the 1990s.
We saw how long the Japan experiment lasted. 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
We tried this.
3.
We tried this. And if your main thought is to begin to cut costs, I hate to tell you this, getting everybody all the way over to the Middle East ain't cutting them. It's only going to get that much more expensive. Who's footing that bill? Is NASCAR going to foot the bill for the teams? I don't think they're going to. So that means the teams need to foot the bill. Where are they going to get that money? I mean, we just now have begun to see where sponsorship is starting to rebound. Just now. All of racing went through a downturn when it came to that. Indycar, NASCAR, NHRA, Formula One even. They all went through it. Formula One has gone to the point where they have put a severe budget cap on the teams that is less than $150 million per car. And you say, wow, you'd be able to do a whole lot for $150 million per car. Don't forget, Red Bull and Ferrari and Mercedes, at their height, were spending $250 million per car until the budget cap came in. That's a severe outlay of money. We've talked about this before. In the hierarchy of the series that we cover, the second most expensive one to run right now is a Cup car. So your budget cap limits you at, what is it, I think it's 145.
145.
$145 million is what you're limited to in Formula One. To run a top flight Cup Series car is going to cost you, we'll say 25. We'll cut it right in the middle, $25 million. To run a top flight Indycar ride is $5 to $8 million. We'll split that, give or take, in the middle and call it 6.5. $7 million. We'll round it up. To run a top flight IndyCar ride, it's a $7 million a year outlay. It's about that much to run a top flight funny car or top fuel team. And you're talking about NASCAR at $25 million to run a top flight Cup car. You're talking about trying to figure out a way to cut costs. And then you're going to talk about shipping them over to the Middle East. Because it's not just the car. It's the driver. It's the pit crew. It's all the equipment. All that costs. And it ain't cheap. And here's the thing. You're not going to get away with just shipping one car over there. You got to do at least two. And if you're going to do more than one race, you're probably going to need more than two. So now you're talking 3, maybe 4 cars? Where are you going? How are you going to do it? How are you going to justify the costs? You can't.
I could see driving by Charlotte Douglas and just looking out, seeing about 6 747s sitting out there.
Oh, at least.
Connex, at least 6 shipping the cars. And what are they going to do? Lease what, 2 A380s from Emirates and pack everybody on 2 A380s and fly them out there?
That's what it's going to take.
Last I checked, the A380 is not cheap to fly on.
No, neither is the 747. And guess what just happened, by the way? Boeing stopped making them.
Ta-da.
There aren't any more new Boeing 747s coming out of the line for you to be able to turn into cargo planes. So sooner or later, the 747 goes the way of the dodo bird. Now what are you going to use for cargo planes? Oh, that's right. Well, you're pretty much stuck, aren't you?
Yep.
This needs to be really thought out very, very well. And again, we've said this, and I get this. There are a lot of people out in Daytona right now, and they got a whole lot of things going on today. They're probably not necessarily paying a whole lot of attention to us. But I know that they have watched. I know that they have listened. Mm-hmm. because things that we've talked about in the past have been implemented. Things that we've talked about in the past have been done.
Came to life. I have another wish, too. But
Really need to make sure that you got all your ducks in a row and your financials in order. Because if you're going to make this move and you want to put it on the teams to pay the bill to go over there, you better dang well make sure that they've got some help. Because otherwise, NASCAR's footing the bill.
And security.
And that ain't a small check.
No.
If you're going to pay for 40 cars to head on over to the Middle East to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 races, which again, to make this anywhere near financially viable, it's going to have to be multiple races. You can't just do one. It ain't going to work. Financially, that's just moronic.
Yep.
So you're going to have to run multiple races over there to make it worth anything whatsoever. Think it out clearly. Think it out real clear. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention over from NASCAR to IndyCar. One name's about ready to hang it up. We'll tell you who when we come back on CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. Tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
One more piece of NASCAR news we're going through before we go into IndyCar. Last night it debuted at Daytona International Speedway, where we used to know them as the ISM Vision screens,
Sprint Vision.
the Sprint Vision screens. Now it's called NASCAR TV.
Okay.
To where it has an interactive QR code on the screens, to where fans can scan and put themselves on the screens using their phone.
Oh, this could be entertaining throughout the course of the year.
I'm going to have some fun with that come April. Jenna, Russell, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have some fun with it come April.
You've been warned.
Yep. The
All
flag's flying.
Yep. You can contact him off the air if you want to find out more. To the IndyCar Series. One of the most popular current drivers of the IndyCar Series, set to make 2023 his last hurrah in the American Open Wheel Series. That will be Tony Kanaan. Tony's now 48. Said he will be attempting to qualify for this year's Indy 500 and then hanging the helmet up. He's planning on retiring back in 2020, and then stupid COVID hit. With that messed up schedule, he decided it wasn't the best time to do his last lap, so he got rides in 2021, and as it turns out, for last year as well. But a 2023 ride didn't materialize, save for a one-race deal with Arrow McLaren Racing SP for the Indy 500. So he'll team up with Alexander Rossi, Pato O'Ward, Felix Rosenquist. It'll be a 4-car effort for Arrow McLaren SP. Not a bad deal for the 2013 Indy 500 winner. Be making his last attempt at becoming one of the race's elite, a multiple-time winner. Like we said, got it in 2013. He'd like to do it again. You want to talk about one of the most popular victories out there. That place was rocking.
Oh, it
when
was.
he was
It
celebrating
it was
victory.
insane.
Coming into that race later on this year, Kanaan's career, so far, 17 wins, a record, 318 series race starts, and he does have a title, 2004 IRL title. That was back before they recombined with Champ Car to become the IndyCar that we know them as now. But hey, it still counts. The dude's got a series title, so congratulations to him. Whatever it is that you do this year, Tony Kanaan, worthy career, man. I mean,
No doubt. No doubt.
this dude's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that and then some.
So, yeah, congratulations to you. And I got to say, I'll be rooting for him in the Indy 500. He's got a good car. Arrow McLaren Racing SP is going to give him a good car. He's got good teammates. This is a real good chance for him. Real good chance for him.
Going out on top, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. Some IndyCar teams are already in Florida. Remember, they're going to begin their season in St. Petersburg, but they're doing some preseason testing. Not in St. Petersburg, though. Monday was day one in Sebring, led by Andretti Autosport and their driver Romain Grosjean. Tuesday's practice session saw Arrow McLaren dominate. They got the 3 quickest lap times, led by Pato O'Ward. Pato O'Ward's time on Tuesday was almost 0.2 quicker than Grosjean's quick time from Monday. Thing about it is, the big surprise might have actually been A.J. Foyt Racing. A.J. Foyt Racing showed up down in Sebring. They, at the first preseason test out in Thermal Club in California, saw both of their drivers trailing the quickest drivers in the test sessions by 1.5 and 1.7 seconds, respectively. They were that much slower for Santino Ferrucci and rookie Benjamin Peterson, respectively. They closed that up in Sebring. Ferrucci was 6th overall in Wednesday's 3rd day of testing, less than a half a second out. Peterson was less than 0.7 off of the fast time, and he was also in the top 10 in speed. Now, again, this is testing. It's a little different from getting into race trim. Now, I get it. Sebring is kind of a road street course, kind of like what St. Petersburg is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And again, testing is a little bit different than being in race form. We still don't know that much about Benjamin Peterson. I mean, he's a good kid. He's done well in Indy Next, as we call it now. Last year, it was Indy Lights.
Right.
But this is going to be his first time battling against the best that IndyCar has to offer. You know, we're going to find out whether or not he's in over his head. Now, he's got a good teammate in Santino Ferrucci who's gotten himself a little bit of maturity, a little bit of chance at running a couple of different things, because Ferrucci's been running NASCAR the last couple of years, as well as running a part-time IndyCar schedule. Mm-hmm. So he's got a good teammate, and let's face it, he's got one of the best when it comes to a mentor. If you need to call somebody up to get a hint, A.J. Foyt's not a bad guy to call up and get a hint.
Not at all.
Okay, but you still got to be able to put that into effect once you get yourself strapped into the driver cockpit and the wheels put in your hands.
Yep. He's still green. He's going to be green for a little while. I would say probably by June, you'll know where he stands.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably about that right.
By
So
June.
but it's going to be interesting to watch just to see whether or not what you see in practice does translate into what we see on the track. Because I know A.J. Foyt is not what anyone would call one of the most patient people on the planet.
No.
he's in it to win it. And it doesn't matter what series he's running in. He's in it to win it. And he wants desperately to get back into victory lane in IndyCar. You know he'd love it to be at Indianapolis where he won 4 Indy 500s.
Absolutely.
But he'd be happy to get back into victory lane anywhere, be it Barber Motorsports Park, St. Petersburg, Long Beach, Indianapolis, or Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. He doesn't care. He'll take a win. Give him the win. That's what he's looking for. Give me the win. Santino Ferrucci might be one of his best options in a while.
It will tell the tale really quick
I think so.
with Santino.
Then IndyCar heading to Detroit. Remember, they're not racing at Belle Isle anymore. They're going to be going downtown for a street course race there. Race promoters are aiming to make it one of the most fan-friendly on the circuit. How? They say that over 50% of the sight lines, the angles for the fans to watch, are going to actually be open and available. Ready for this, NASCAR and Formula One? For free.
What?
Yep.
How
Now,
much?
there are areas where a ticket will be required. Areas like around Hart Plaza, Spirit Plaza, the Riverwalk, for example. Those you're going to have to get a ticket to get in. But by using the kind of the same open debris fence system that they used in Nashville for the Music City Grand Prix to create some of this area to close off the street course, it does create a bit of more of an open feel for the fans around the street course, and there will be areas, standing room only. There aren't grandstands put there. If you want grandstands, you're going to have to buy a ticket. But yeah, there are going to be areas that you can just walk right up to the, or close to. They're not going to let you walk right up to the fencing in case there's a crash, somebody runs into the fence, boom. But yeah, you'll be able to get into a reasonable area close to the fencing area, and you'll be able to watch without a ticket. This right here, you want to talk about a public relations boon?
Oh, yeah.
This is huge. This is huge. Congratulations to IndyCar.
It is, but I think I don't want to go to Detroit still. I still don't want to go to Detroit.
I understand. I understand. But that being said, if you need a PA guy, I'm available for a ticket. NBC might be waiting on Fox, and, let's face it, Fox has got NASCAR to kick off the 2023 racing system season in earnest. But NBC's not just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. They are looking ahead to their IndyCar season. They have talked about already the Indy 500 coverage. Lee Diffie is still the lead announcer. We still want to get Lee Diffie at Talladega. God, you want to talk about fun. But anyway, Lee Diffie's going to be the lead announcer. Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe going to be in the booth with him. Headlining the pre-race and the post-race shows, it'll look familiar. Mike Tirico, Danica Patrick. Tirico joined NBC a few years ago from ESPN to become a lead sports personality for the network, dealing with Sunday Night Football, the Olympics. Continues his run in this role. He first hosted the pre- and post-race shows for Indy 500 since 2019 and each year since. Patrick, who actually claimed top 5 in the 2004 Indy 500 and has 6 top 10s in the Indy 500 overall, she joined this coverage a couple of years ago as well, and she will continue on as this. So, yeah, there's going to be more coming. Trust me. We've seen Dale Earnhardt Jr. be part of the coverage of this in the past. We've seen Rutledge Wood be the part of the coverage in this in the past. And remember, this is Memorial Day weekend, which means Fox still has Cup Series rights. That won't transfer to NBC until June, July? I think it's June. Late June.
July.
Is it early July? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like Rutledge Wood and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are waiting to do Cup Series stuff or NASCAR stuff. They're available. I would imagine they'll probably be involved in some way, shape, or form as well, possibly even Jeff Burton.
I could see Letarte being there more than Burton.
I could buy that, sure. Junior and Rutt are almost guarantees, though.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they've been there in the past.
Get me Lee Diffie to Dega, and my life will be complete. Okay.
I do. I want to see that.
Brian
That would be
Russell
so cool.
Jenna, we need him on the boulevard on Friday night.
Yeah, start talking to NBC.
Please.
Let's get that to happen in the fall. It'd be cool. A few weeks ago, we talked about the CW working with IndyCar for a 6-episode event series entitled 100 Days to Indy. Well, 100 Days to the Indy 500 officially was yesterday. The The series, however, won't actually see actual airtime until late April 27th to be exact, and they're going to run one every week right up to Indy 500 week. Get how that works? As noted, Penske Entertainment and Vice Media have paired up. They're going to produce the series, which will allow the viewer to meet the drivers as they prep for and get into the 2023 season and work their way up to the Indy 500 on May the 28th. I'm looking forward to this. I want to see how well this goes. We've already heard that early next month is when we're going to see the beginning of F1 Drive to Survive on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
That's on Netflix. NASCAR's been talking about this, and they're talking about putting it on a streaming service as well, which means you have to have a subscription. This is going on the CW network, which technically you can get over the air if you got the right equipment. You don't have to have necessarily even a cable subscription to get this. You don't have to have a streaming service, definitely. This is on broadcast television, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Indycar. That's 2 coups for you. Good job. I like it. Take lessons, Formula One. Take lessons, Indycar. I would even say so far, and I think the NHRA is doing a great job, don't get me wrong, but take lessons, NHRA. IndyCar's doing this right. They have begun to realize we are in a battle for eyeballs. NASCAR is the motorsports monster in the United States of America, and Formula One has made serious inroads. And, oh, by the way, we're battling with the NHRA. We got about the same number of eyeballs watching NHRA as we do IndyCar. We got to do something. Allowing some places with no ticket for the Detroit Grand Prix and putting this kind of documentary series on over-the-air television, 2 big things. 2 big feathers in their cap.
I do concur.
I like it. I like it a lot. Formula One, though, as we noted, considered to be the world's racing series. IndyCar working kind of get their own piece of that world television time. For 2023, Penske Entertainment Corporation President and CEO Mark Miles said that the series is actually going to be showing up live, not tape delayed, live on television in 142 countries around the world, covering 223 major markets around the globe. Really cool stuff.
That is just as big.
It is. That is huge on their part. Congratulations to them. All right, here's where John's about to make his money, and we're going to give him a breather right in the middle of it because we got a lot of pictures coming. And it starts with Scuderia Ferrari as we turn our attention to Formula One. They've revealed their 2023 F1 cars, internally have codenamed them SF23. It's the iconic Ferrari red that remains. Here's the thing, though. There's some black that suddenly shows up along the front nose cone and the front and rear wings. Numbers, lettering, largely done in white, pending the color of the sponsor and the logo. But here's the thing. What appears to be black is turning out to really actually be bare carbon fiber. A lot of these teams have decided to start stripping away paint. And you say, why? Well, it's a weight savings issue. Whatever you can save on paint or wrap or whatever it is that you want to call it, you can transfer to another part of the car. And it doesn't necessarily seem like that much, but when we're talking aerodynamics and all the stuff that we're talking about when it comes to these racers, and it doesn't matter what series we're talking about, but especially Formula One, ounces could make a difference if you can shift it from the top of the car to the bottom.
Substantial.
So that's why you're seeing a lot more what looks to be from pictures distantly black. It's actually bare carbon fiber. It's not paint, it's not a wrap, it's not black, it's just the color of carbon fiber. And you can see it right on our CRN Live YouTube feed. I want to say Formula1.com. Thank you to them, because most of these came off of Formula1.com, and we appreciate their help on that one. How about this one? Aston Martin's 2023 racer, internally codenamed AMR 23. You can see the picture up in just a moment. Now, okay, just making sure. I'm trying to keep up with what John's doing over there. They're keeping that British racing green color over the top of the car. They got a yellow stripe. Bottom of the car, bare carbon fiber. White lettering and numbers. The car is new to, this one's kind of a new to Aston Martin for driver Fernando Alonso. And he's hoping that this car right here, which is a pretty sharp-looking car if you ask me, it's one of the sharper ones out there. And I'm not a big green when it comes to green on cars, but I kind of like that. Fernando Alonso is hoping this one can get him his elusive 33rd Formula One victory. Team officials state this car is 90% different from the 2022 racer that finished 7th in the Constructors' Cup. Well, if you're looking to improve, it better be, because last year's car was underwhelming. That right there,
Bingo.
Again, pretty good-looking car. Do me a favor, John. If you can go back, can you bring back the Ferrari one real quick? Let's go back to the Ferrari one. And I gotta say this. I like how the Ferrari car looks. There's a couple of different kind of looks there, one for one driver, one for the other, and that's how they're going to look this year. I love the red, I love the black, but despite the fact that I'm not a huge green, that Aston Martin was a good-looking car.
That metallic-looking green.
Yeah, I would say that. If you want to go ahead and put that back up over there, John, on CRN Live. Yeah, I know for all of you that are listening on the radio, this is different, but hey, again, this is what you're missing out if you're not on CRN Live. We've told you this. It's free. Go to YouTube, type in CRN Live. You can see this stuff as well. Yeah, that's a pretty good-looking car right there.
Yep.
Let's go ahead, do this. We'll take our final break here. We'll bring you, let's see, what do we got? McLaren, AlphaTauri, Mercedes, and Alpine. All those paint schemes yet to come. And Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes are talking contract. We'll talk about that when we come back as well. And who knows? Our little experiment called Championship Chat Lane, CCL, I think that's what we're officially going to call it. We might have a question or two. And if you got one, go ahead and post it now. You got a few more minutes left to go. And John will throw them at us right after this on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Fuel only, fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Yeah, we are. Steve West, Matt Nicholson, producer John Myers. Don't forget, if you got a question or something that you just want us to talk about for our championship chat lane, throw it up there. Put it up there. CRN Live on YouTube. We'll find out what, if anything, you got on your mind that you want us to talk about. cold. No net, boys and girls.
Blind.
Yep. McLaren, meanwhile, hoping to return to competitiveness with Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari. They took the wraps off of their MCL 60 racer. We talked about this last weekend in the fact that this is their 60th year, so they've changed the code to it. You can see it right now on CRN Live, courtesy of Formula1.com. Going to have a lot of their signature papaya orange, but again, if not all F1 teams, certainly most of them doing either black or unpainted carbon fiber in this case. For McLaren, the bare carbon fiber look covers most of the engine cover behind the driver and a little bit of a strip along the bottom right there. But yeah, I mean, that's that papaya orange. We talked about orange. I wish I could say that I liked it as much as the Burger Racing green, but I'm not big on orange.
Yeah.
There are other reasons for me not being big on orange, but I'm not going to get into that. Then there's the sister team to Red Bull, AlphaTauri. They soldier on into 2023 with a paint scheme similar to the 2022 look, but with a notable exception of more than one color. In this case, it's not black. It's actually red. The overall look of the car remains the blue and white color scheme that the team has used since changing their name from Toro Rosso to AlphaTauri, but it adds red along the wheel covers and the rear wing. Sponsor Orlen is kind of the ones involved in that particular situation. You can see that car, more of really the front look at it instead of really the sides. But yeah, there's like a hub that covers the car. Again, thanks to Formula1.com for the use of that particular picture. And then there's Mercedes. There's a couple of different looks on this Mercedes car right here. Side look, top look, and kind of just a 3/4 angle, if you will. If you remember 2020 and 2021 when they switched from their traditional silver and black paint scheme, silver to a black paint scheme, well, black is now back. More accurately, I guess the lack of paint is back. They chose to shave a bit of weight by really not adding the silver to the car. They have taken the bare carbon fiber look all over the car with white lettering and some highlighter yellow numbers featuring the silver and light blue really in stripes along the sides right under the driver cockpit. That's really the only throwback to the silver arrow. And again, it's a good-looking car, but then again, I've always liked a black car.
It is a good-looking car, so now I just wonder who starts griping first about Mercedes because they get abundantly quicker because they're running a solid carbon fiber body.
Hardly any paint on it at all, or wrap is what you might call it. The car continues that slimline side pod design that they debuted back in 2022. But there is some word out there that amongst their first changes for the 2023 season, which should happen probably after, I guess, race 3, maybe, somewhere in that area, that they're going to modify those side air intakes. The team didn't state how it might end up looking. Team officials state that the problems that they had with the car bottoming out and porpoising last year have been cured with this new car codenamed W14. Apparently, they state they were caught a little bit unprepared when they went up from the 15-inch wheels to the 18-inch wheels for the 2022 year. I'm not so certain that that's the entirety of it. That may certainly be a portion of it.
Yeah,
but that can't be the whole thing, because you knew that switch was coming a couple of years before it actually happened. You had to have done some testing with that. Couldn't you have?
Yeah. You could have.
Well, we'll find out whether they actually got it fixed or not.
They had more of a suspension issue last year.
Yeah, it was much more of a suspension issue than anything else. Meanwhile, at the reveal, the team and Sir Lewis Hamilton, he's knighted last year in case you missed it, they were asked about his future with the organization since he and his contract actually do come to an end after this year. Hamilton insists he has no plans to race with any other team. Here's the thing. If Mercedes doesn't sign him, I bet you he would go to another team because he would like to continue to race. But Mercedes boss Toto Wolff has said that this offseason that he has absolute, his word, confidence in working out a deal with the all-time Formula One's wins leader. Missed adding to that total last year. That's a big story out there. Because it's the first year in his career that Lewis Hamilton hasn't claimed at least one win. That's huge. Hamilton said at the reveal of the 2023 racer he looks to get back to his winning ways. Missing out on at least one win in a season for the first time again in his 15 years in the sport left a very bad taste in his mouth. I imagine it did. He did not talk about specifics about his contract. He left that to Wolff. Wolff said, quote, "We've done a few of these contracts in the past and they change very little from iteration to iteration, so it's not usually complex apart from the obvious terms. We've had a first chat, but I don't want to commit to any timeline because it's not important for him nor for us at that stage. It runs a full year. We're going to find the right time. Unless I miss my guess, somewhere right around summer break is when this is going to come together and come to fruition, because at that point in time, all the other teams start talking to Lewis Hamilton and go, hey, listen, you still don't have a contract for next year.
Mm-hmm. I just want to see who would be the big player in this if he doesn't re-sign with Mercedes.
That would be real interesting to find out. The final team to show off their 2023 look, all the other 9 teams had shown it off. Alpine finally did. It's a look you can now see on our CRN live YouTube feed. This one courtesy of ESPN.com. They signed Swiss sponsor BWT last year. This year, that pink that the company dominates, the pink of the company dominates the side pods. But that Alpine blue runs over the top of the car from really the nose back over to the engine cover. VW's pink and blue lettering adorning the front and rear wings as well. But the thing about it is that look that you see right now, courtesy of ESPN.com, is actually not what they're going to debut with. Let's go to the next picture. Go to the next one, because that's the top look right there. Okay, so you get a top look there. There were 3 different pictures here. That look right there, where that blue that I just talked about that was over the nose and over the engine cover is replaced by pink. They decided that they wanted to run an almost all pink look for the first 3 races of the year, and then you go back to having the Alpine blue, and that'll show up in race number 4. I like the nod to the sponsor. You're giving a little bit of extra time to them, but okay, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Who knew Formula One had decided to go with multiple paint schemes? That seems so NASCAR. Alpine also announced they've settled on the driver lineup for 2023. Their reserve driver has been named. His name is Jack Doohan. Is any relation to Scotty, Jimmy Doohan from Star Trek? Anyway, Alpine pulled Doohan away from the Red Bull Driver Academy. Not a bad pluck, if you ask me. He ran Formula 2 for Red Bull in 2022, where he claimed 3 wins, 3 poles, and was 6th in the final Formula 2 standings. Yeah, not a bad pluck at all. Way to go, Alpine. Red Bull, meanwhile, continues to have a situation like what we were talking about with Joe Gibbs Racing in NASCAR. Mm-hmm. You got a whole lot of people that you continue to sign to your driver academy, but you got no place to put them.
It's called being top heavy.
Very much so. And that's not necessarily a bad thing that they've got some great talented drivers working for them in Formula One. I'm not saying that at all. You got very, very talented racers running for you, not only in Red Bull, but in the sister company AlphaTauri. But the thing about it is all those drivers that are working their way up from Formula 3, Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula 2, once they get to Formula 2, they ain't got no place else to go. They can't go to Red Bull. They can't go to AlphaTauri because those seats are taken. So they're going to end up going to other teams.
Yep.
Or you're going to lose some really, really good young drivers in their prime
quickly
that are currently running for either Red Bull or AlphaTauri. They're going to go to other teams
quickly.
And now all of a sudden you're putting in some fairly untested guys who, yes, have been working their way up through the development series, but they're untested at this level.
Right.
Red Bull's got to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
A few weeks ago, the FIA issued rules clarifications that all but outlawed personal statements via T-shirts and such. The drivers began a bit of a pushback on it. It led the FIA to clarify what they meant by that. This revision reads that the drivers can still talk about the things that they're very interested or involved in, but they can only do that during certain times on race weekends. The revised rule states that the drivers can, quote, express their views on any political, religious, or personal matter before, during, and after the international competition in their own space outside the scope of the international competition itself. Times that they cannot during the national anthem of whatever country they happen to be in, during the driver parade, during the pre- and post-season driver group photos, and on the podium after the race and the celebration. Things that they will not allow. Hand gestures. They will not allow messages on the shirt under their fire suit. So in other words, it's got to be sponsors or blank. Whether or not the driver has broken a rule, they state, will be determined on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
Wear what you wear on a shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this. I'm watching sports to watch you compete. I'm not watching sports necessarily for your political statement.
Thank you. Cheers.
Amen. All righty then. Championship Chat Lane, CCL, CCR, eat your heart out. You haven't been together for a while anyway, so what do we care? Championship Chat Lane is for those of you that don't really know what we're looking for or what we're going to try to do and make this kind of a regular segment here. I will let you explain it once again because you do it much better than I do.
Well, it's more of a segment of, asking us random questions on our thoughts on a certain particular thing, no matter what series it may be in, that we cover on a weekly basis, whether it's heavy on one series or all series spaced out. Just whatever question you have for us, whether it may be, did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? What is our opinion on this? What's our opinion on that? However you want to look at it, we answer those questions blind.
Yep. We won't get those questions. If you send them to us by email, which you can do anytime throughout the week, send them to team@crnradio.us. Now, we don't have access to that. I take that back. We do technically, but I'll be honest with you. I never check team@crnradio.us. You want to know who does? That's producer John.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the course of the show, we have the chat up on CRN Live on YouTube. And I don't have a computer in front of me. Now, Matt does. So he could technically see it beforehand. As to whether he does or not, that's up to him.
Cheater, pumpkin eater.
But honestly, if you send a question or if you're asking for our opinion on this, that, or the other thing, I haven't got a clue what you're going to bring to the table. So, yeah, it's literally us flying without a net.
Yeah, I've got it right here since John doesn't have a mic today.
Which hopefully we have a mic for him next
All right.
week.
Lizzie said, Chi-Town Mark's question to Steve.
Uh-oh.
What do you consider your favorite type of racing?
And why?
And why?
And why? I'll be honest with you. I go all the way back to my childhood with NASCAR. I have grown up with it. I remember sitting down on that February morning February afternoon, I should say, in 1979, watching the very first Daytona 500 flag to flag on CBS. I remember in the background, Ken Squire going, "There's a fight," and them showing the picture of Bobby and Donnie Allison along with Cale Yarborough. I have been a NASCAR fan since I was a kid. Even before that Daytona 500, my mom bought 2 Matchbox cars. One was the Wood Brothers number 21. The other was Darrell Waltrip's number 88 Gatorade. And across the street was a guy who had just retired as the pastor from the church that was literally a golf driver shot away from my house. And his grandson was exactly my age, Bryant. And Bryant and I would go outside, and in the dirt, we'd create a racetrack, and he always took the Wood Brothers car. It's how I became a Darrell Waltrip fan. I always took the 88 car. And we would, we'd go racing, and we'd just have a great time. I've been a NASCAR fan all of my life, for as long as I can remember that there was automobile racing. So, yeah, NASCAR is that, and that's the reason why. Is because basically I grew up with it that way.
How about you, Matt?
Well, for me, first time I went to a racetrack, I was 4 years old. It was at Talladega.
Got you all choked up, doesn't it?
He
Yeah,
does.
it gets me choked up thinking about it.
4 years old. My God, I'm old.
Yeah. 1989 was my first event I went to. It was a Die Hard 500 in the blazing Alabama heat
Yeah, back when they used to do the summer race in July.
in July. Yeah, in July.
And remember, there ain't no lights at Talladega, boys
No.
and girls. You run it in the daytime.
Green flag flying at 12 o'clock. This year will be my 34th consecutive year going to Talladega. Been going to both events every year. The bug just struck then, and it was off to the races, no pun intended. I remember the next track that I went to was the Birmingham International Raceway, and watched one of the old diesel truck series.
Oh, my gosh.
Delo series run there. That was that was the races I remember run. It's the first 2 races that I recall going to.
Thank you, Langford.
And then from there, I've been to countless number of racetracks, all the way from Barber Motorsports Park at Birmingham, Pensacola, Five Flags, Nashville Fairgrounds, Bristol, Memphis Motorsports Park, of course, Talladega, Montgomery Motor Speedway, Birmingham International Raceway, Huntsville, Atlanta Motor Speedway, Charlotte, Darlington, Richmond, Homestead, Daytona, Texas, Nashville.
So what's your favorite type of racing, Matt?
But my favorite type of racing is super speedway racing in NASCAR.
There you go. Yeah, it was a little more generic, I got to admit, because the first race that I really sat there and saw and said, wow, that's what I really wanted to watch, it was Richmond. And I love short track racing. I love watching, especially when they do it under the lights at Richmond, and where we actually had the chance to go do it in BPA up there.
It should still be there.
It's fantastic. It was absolutely wonderful. So, yeah, there you go. If you got questions, again, you can email them throughout the course of the week to team@crnradio.us, which, by the way, that's our website, www.crnradio.us. We're hoping to do more stuff with that as we come up here in the very near future. We got big plans for that. Of course, don't forget about YouTube, CRN Live. If you're already subscribed, tell your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Then tell your friends. And again, you can throw questions or comments to us on that chat during the show. But yeah, if you got something, if you think of something during the week, send it to us, email it to us. John will get it. team@crnradio.us. Hope you all enjoy the racing this weekend. We'll be back next weekend to detail all of it and talk about the news of the week because, well, let's face it, there will be news during the course of this week, and we'll detail it all next weekend right here with me, Steve West, that guy right there, Matt Nicholson, and our producer, John Myers, right here on the Championship Racing Network.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.